Giants, myth, or reality? Unraveling the mystery. You know, since we were kids, we've all heard stories about giants. Big old dudes stomping around, messing things up for us regular-sized folk. They're like the ultimate campfire story, right? Part myth, part legend, totally scary. But what if I told you there might be something more to these stories? What if giants weren't just figments of our imagination? We're talking actual real-life giants roaming the earth. Today we're diving deep into this mystery. We're talking ancient texts, wild archaeological finds, and the possibility that evidence of giants has been buried, hidden from us. Buckle up, folks. This is going to be a wild ride. Alright, so let's kick things off with the big one, the Bible. Now I know what you're thinking, religion, spirituality, not exactly my usual jam, but stay with me here, because this stuff is wild. The Bible mentions these beings called the Nephilim. They were supposedly the offspring of angels, like actual angels and human women. Talk about a forbidden romance, right? The book of Genesis calls them heroes of old, men of renown. Now some people, some serious researchers, believe these Nephilim were the giants of legend. I mean, think about it, superhuman strength, divine lineage, it all kind of adds up. The Bible talks about battles between the Israelites and these giant tribes. David and Goliath. Yeah, Goliath was supposedly a giant too. It's like something out of a comic book, but it's right there in the pages of one of the most influential books in history. Alright, so we've covered the Bible, but giants aren't just a Judeo-Christian thing. The Norse, those Viking warrior poets, they had their own versions of giants too. They called them the Jotun, and let me tell you, these guys were metal. We're talking massive beings living in a frozen wasteland called Jotunheim, which basically translates to giant home. And these weren't just big dudes hanging out in the snow. They were powerful beings who could control the elements, mess with your mind, and even go toe-to-toe with the gods. Thor, the god of thunder, yeah, he was always getting into brawls with giants. Odin, the All-Father himself, he was constantly scheming and battling against giant threats. These stories are full of epic battles, trickery, and of course giant-sized consequences. The Norse believed that the world was literally built from the corpse of a giant, which is just like, wow. Now you can't talk about mythology without mentioning the Greeks, right? Those guys loved a good story, and their giants were some of the most famous of all time. First off, you got the Titans. These guys were the OG power couple, ruling the universe before Zeus and the Olympian gods came along. We're talking about Cronus, the dude who ate his own kids, and Atlas, who was condemned to hold the sky up for all eternity. Then you got the Cyclops, the one-eyed giants who were known for their brute strength and blacksmithing skills. Remember Polyphemus, the Cyclops who trapped Odysseus and his crew in his cave? Yeah, those guys were terrifying. The Greeks weren't just telling stories to scare their kids though. They believed that these giants were real, that they had shaped the world and influenced the course of history. And to be honest, some of the stories they told are so detailed, so specific, that it makes you wonder if there's something more to them. Chapter 4. Giants in Ancient America. Now, here's where things get really interesting. We've talked about Europe, the Middle East, but giant legends aren't just confined to the Old World. The Americas are teeming with stories of giant beings too. The Inca, the Maya, the Aztecs, they all had their own versions of giants. The Aztecs, for example, believed that entire races of giants lived before modern humans. They called them the Quinametsin, and they were said to be so large that trees only reached their knees. Imagine that for a second. These giants were often depicted as wise and powerful, but also destructive and prone to anger. And it's not just stories either. There are ancient petroglyphs all over the Americas that depict creatures much larger than humans. These carvings are thousands of years old, and they show these giant figures alongside regular-sized humans. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's evidence that our ancestors witnessed something truly extraordinary. Chapter 5. Giant Skeletons Found in America. Now buckle up because this is where things get really wild. In the 19th century, reports started surfacing about giant skeletons being unearthed all over the United States. We're talking skeletons over 10 feet tall, folks. These weren't just a couple of isolated incidents either. There were dozens, maybe even hundreds of reports from reputable newspapers and respected individuals. One of the most famous cases involved a discovery in a cave in Nevada. Miners claimed to have found a giant skeleton over 12 feet tall with red hair. They even took photos, but the photos, along with the skeleton, mysteriously disappeared. And it's not just white settlers who were finding these skeletons. Native American tribes have their own legends about red-haired giants, beings they called the Siteka. These tribes claimed that their ancestors battled these giants for control of the land. Chapter 6. Cave Giants in Romania. So, we've covered a lot of ground here, but the mystery of giants doesn't stop at the Americas. In the 1970s, archaeologists in Romania made a startling discovery. They were exploring a cave system in the Carpathian Mountains when they stumbled upon a collection of massive bones. These bones were unlike anything they'd ever seen before. They were human-like, but huge, suggesting a creature over 8 feet tall. The Romanian government tried to keep the discovery under wraps, but word got out, and soon the story was making headlines around the world. Conspiracy theorists went wild, claiming that the Romanian government was hiding evidence of giants to protect their official narrative of history. To this day, the true nature of the bones found in that Romanian cave remains a mystery. Chapter 7. Giants in India and Pakistan. Now let's shift gears and head over to the Indian subcontinent, a place steeped in ancient history and mythology. Just like other cultures we've discussed, India has its own share of giant legends. Ancient Sanskrit texts, some of the oldest written records on Earth, describe a race of giants called the Daityas. These beings were said to be incredibly powerful, possessing advanced technology and magical abilities. They fought epic battles against the gods, shaking the very foundations of the earth. And it's not just ancient texts, either. There are ancient petroglyphs in India that depict enormous human-like figures, towering over regular-sized humans. These carvings are eerily similar to the ones found in the Americas, suggesting a possible connection between these ancient cultures. Could it be that giants were a global phenomenon, their presence felt on every continent? Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the giant in the museum basement. Some people believe that governments and scientific institutions are deliberately hiding evidence of giants. They claim that these institutions are afraid of what the discovery of giants would mean for our understanding of history, evolution, and even religion. The Smithsonian Institution, one of the most respected museums in the world, has been accused of confiscating giant skeletons and hiding them from public view. There are even rumors of secret vaults within the Smithsonian, filled with evidence of giants and other suppressed archaeological discoveries. Now, I'm not saying I believe all of this, but I'm not ruling it out either. We live in a strange world, folks, and sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. Okay, so we've talked about ancient legends, archaeological discoveries, and government conspiracies, but what if there's a more, shall we say, extraterrestrial explanation for giants? Some researchers believe that giants could have been the result of ancient genetic experiments. Think about it. What if thousands of years ago, extraterrestrial beings visited Earth and decided to tinker with human DNA? Maybe they were trying to create a race of super soldiers, or maybe they were just bored and wanted to see what would happen. This might sound like something out of a science fiction movie, but there's a growing body of evidence that suggests we are not alone in the universe. And if extraterrestrial beings did visit Earth in the past, who's to say what kind of impact they might have had on human evolution? Now for the million-dollar question, do giants still exist today? It might sound crazy, but there are people out there who believe that giants are still alive and well, hiding in remote corners of the world. There have been numerous reports of giant creatures being sighted in forests, mountains, and even underwater. Some of these reports come from credible witnesses like pilots, soldiers, and scientists. In the Pacific Northwest, there's a long tradition of Bigfoot sightings, a creature that some believe could be a type of giant. In the Himalayas, there are stories of the Yeti, a massive ape-like creature that is said to roam the snowy peaks. And in the oceans, there are legends of giant squid and even prehistoric sea monsters that dwarf any creature we know to exist. Could these be modern-day giants? Remnants of a time when giant beings roamed the earth freely? So there you have it, folks. The mystery of giants. We've covered a lot of ground here, from ancient legends to modern-day sightings. And yet, despite all of this, we're no closer to answering the question, did giants truly exist? The evidence is tantalizing, but it's also circumstantial. There's no smoking gun, no definitive proof that giants once walked among us. But here's the thing that really gets me. Why do nearly all ancient cultures have stories about giants? These stories come from all over the world, from people who had no contact with each other. Is it just a coincidence, or could it be that these legends are based on real events, distant memories of a time when giants roamed the earth? Maybe, just maybe, the truth is out there, waiting to be discovered.